That was a beautiful piece of music. We want to give credit to the second part of that group, Sister Brown, Ann Brown, who accompanied Brother Bunker there with the duet, and we appreciate that. Some things we need to pass along before we have the closing prayer, and that is that the graveside service and dedication will be done at Memory Gardens. We have another activity that's going on out there, so we're going to start that at 1 o'clock this afternoon. The best directions to reach that location is Tenaya at Lone Mountain. So if you go over to Tenaya west from here on to Tenaya and then north to Lone Mountain, you will be in excellent shape. Upon the conclusion of the closing prayer and as the congregation rises, if the pallbearers will meet out in the west foyer here and lead us out and allow the family to proceed at that point. Years ago, and if I might just take a couple minutes, Sister Judd, I would appreciate it. Years ago, my wife and I would travel. We enjoy traveling. We've had the opportunity of being on the East Coast and the West Coast, but primarily on the West Coast because that's where we were raised. We would come upon some magnificent structures that we've grown to love, and it's become kind of a hobby of ours now that every time we see a lighthouse, that we stop and we try to get as close as we can, and some of them aren't as accessible as they used to be. And we look at those magnificent structures, we wonder, or we know what their purpose is. The purpose of those structures are to warn and to greet. As you stand in awe looking up at a lighthouse, and you wonder the lives that were saved because of the lighthouse that stood there with its beacon going, and in inclement weather, the soft, mellow tones of its foghorn, warning of impending danger, or warning that you have reached a safe place, and just around the corner is a cove or an inlet that you will find safety. Within the lighthouse, there is but a small fire or a small light bulb. It's not very big. But because of the engineering and the exquisite craftsmanship of the lens that this light emanates from, it projects for miles and miles out to sea, a welcome sight for those that are traveling upon the sea. I think of President Judd as being a lighthouse. I've had the opportunity to serve with him. You never serve under President Judd, you serve with him as an assistant in the high priest group several years ago. And I can honestly say, and I mentioned to his family, that when I was in his presence, I felt like I was in the presence of my father-in-law. For my father-in-law was truly a righteous man. President Judd made me feel good. The last time I was in his house before he went back in the hospital, as his bishop, I went in the house to comfort him. And I walked in and we conversed. Sister Judd was there, such a gracious hostess. And as I left, I walked out of the house and I had a moment to stand there on the front porch and go over the things that just happened. I didn't comfort him. I walked out being comforted myself. President Judd was that kind of man. You always felt better having been in his presence. And as I look around the room and I recognize many people here, and it's wonderful that we get together to pay respects for this great man and the love and that what he did, and he touched our hearts. Forever he will be my lighthouse. and I appreciate him for that. And I appreciate the gospel that brings us together this day. So brothers and sisters, those of you that would like to be at the graveside with that are encouraged to do so. We'll be a little bit late, and the pallbearers, if you would go to the west foyer here upon our benediction. Sister Judd, we love you. We love your family. They're great, great people. Brother Dick Stewart.